Yeah, bro. There'd be
Definitely
more of them if they
crazy,
didn't
man.
have them.
There'd be more elephants if they didn't have elephants.
Wait, what?
If they didn't have the tusks. Yes.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant there'd be more elephants if they didn't have
Yes, if there were
elephants.
0 elephants, we'd have a booming elephant population all over the place, bro. If we just name like a dog, an elephant, more elephants, no longer extinction.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the fourth ever episode of the Box of Four podcast. We hope you enjoyed our special guest episode last week. Today, we're going to be talking about the concept of time. What better way to pair an episode with the one from 2 weeks ago based on space? So we thought we'd talk about time today. I'm Finn.
From Kai.
I'm Logan.
And I'm Chase.
All right. So I have a question for you, gents, relating to time, right? So,
Okay, Jan.
so when you think about a period of time, 1 second, like 1 second of time, how would you define that? How would you define it?
1 second.
100 milliseconds.
1 second.
Yeah,
100
100
milliseconds?
millisecond.
A 60th of a minute.
A 300 or 3600th of an hour.
What is 24 times 60?
Why is
What?
that important?
I'm doing it for you right now.
So-
24 times 6.
So what you're saying is
14.
that it's
It
the
is
60th
1,440th of a day.
of a
Oh,
day, okay?
I see.
Okay.
And how would you define a day?
It is when the Earth makes one revolution around the sun.
Wait. There's
Wait,
more.
wait,
wait, that's
there's
a-
more than.
It's when the it's when
And he
the
also
Earth
did the math wrong,
spins
bro.
one
Bro, you
time
did the math
around.
wrong. Logan, there's not
60
not
times
1400.
60 times 24. You did
Yeah,
the
you
math
said
wrong.
60
I said
one
you should look it
time.
up. No, I did
You said
not.
60. Yeah, you did.
Okay. Oh, just multiply 1440.
86,000. Wait. 86,004. Hold on. Let me do this again. 60 times 60 times 24. Yeah, 86,400.
Yes.
Goodness
so
gracious.
if a day is when the Earth spins once, then a second is 1/86,000th of that.
Okay.
86,400th, yeah.
Yes.
So
On Earth,
I-
that would be.
yeah, but that's
I'm
what
everywhere.
you're basing
Yeah.
one period
It
of
is a
time of a
universal
second.
metric.
No, it
Yeah.
isn't.
So
Okay.
let,
Chase.
let me
A day is not the
introduce you-
same on Mars as it is here.
I know, but we're saying all time is the same.
No,
It's
we're-
like
No,
it's the same
no one
time
said that.
everywhere.
I think what
Time-
Logan's trying to mean is that no
As-
matter where
as-
you are, a second will remain the same because we're measuring it in relativity to the Earth.
To the Earth.
Yes.
Yes.
That's
Is that what
fair.
you're okay? So
That's what I meant.
while that is pretty good for the measurement of
Okay.
a second, in the
That's right.
1960s, scientists were not happy with that. They were like, the Earth is not good at keeping time. It always is moving and not at a constant rate. So they came up with their own definition of a second, the standard definition of a second. And what they did is they took an atom and they're like, the electrons in this atom, if we line them up just right in an electromagnetic field, they will oscillate, they will vibrate at a certain frequency, basically regardless of where that particle is, like it will vibrate like that. And so they're like, you know what, we should just measure this and see how long a second is doing this. And so standard definition of a second goes as follows: 9,192,631,770 ticks of an electron in a cesium-133 atom. What do you
Oh,
think
yeah,
about
I
that?
knew that. My bad, I just forgot.
You know,
Oh,
I
okay.
think it was easier when they counted seconds by like when like a second goes by.
Yeah,
True.
Like, I like this
thinking.
idea. I like that idea better because then it's
Yeah, I don't
always
know
you know,
about-
it's no math. Just
I don't know
one
about
Mississippi. That's the
so,
second.
But
Nine
okay, but how do
billion-
you know a
second is
second
one
goes by?
Mississippi.
How do you know if a
A
second
second
goes
is
by
one
without
Mississippi.
knowing the definition of a second?
Someone is the Mississippier.
What are
and
you
they-
saying?
Well, Listen though, but like back before whatever what year was that?
1900?
1960s.
1960s. Okay, before that, bro, people knew what a second was at least approximately. They didn't have to count like
Yeah, and
the nine
said
billion
watches.
192,631,770 ticks of an electron in cesium-133.
But
They didn't
technically,
have to
all
do
those
that,
seconds
bro.
were like slightly different. So
yes, that's
they didn't
so
really know.
the reason they needed to do that is for like technology advancement, so like computers and
That's fair.
GPS and whatever. So that's the reason they did it. But after the second, what comes after the second? The minute, right?
Yeah.
And then how many seconds are in a minute? Just
60.
60.
60.
and how many minutes are in an hour?
60.
Okay. Anybody care
24.
Yeah, but so why 60? Why did we choose 60 subdivisions of an hour to make a minute and 60 subdivisions of a minute to make a second?
Because
because we
Thomas
just
Jefferson
decided-
couldn't count higher than 60.
No. Thomas,
us-
he did not even
Teach us,
time
Kai.
seconds.
Thomas
So-
Jefferson made time. Okay.
No,
So
okay.
the reason for this is back in ancient Babylonia, the people there were like, we need to come up with a metric for time. And, something that they love better than a base 10 counting system is a base 6 counting system.
Why?
But you might say, why? So, one of the main
Do they have
reasons
6
is
fingers?
well, no.
What?
Well, the reason why base 6 is just better is that 60 can be divided into a quarter, a third, and a half. Well, like if you use 100
Oh.
seconds in a minute, you cannot divide it into 1/3 without having a decimal, basically.
That's actually true.
You just said you
Oh.
can. It's 1/3.
What?
No, Logan, what number
33.3.
over one? Yeah, but then you have a decimal. You don't want a decimal. 20 over 60 is 1/3. And then you can
Cavemen
still...
did not know how to do decimals, Logan.
They fractions.
But
Just keep it as okay.
the way they came up with the number 60 is they took the joints on their fingers, and there's 12 joints on one hand. They didn't include thumb. I don't know. And then 5 fingers on the other hand. 12 times 5 is 60. That's where they came up with 60 seconds per minute.
That's
60
certainly
minutes
a
per
way to do that,
Oh,
huh?
neat.
I guess so.
And then as for the day, basically, I don't know why they chose 24 hours in a day, but they did. But the interesting thing is in ancient times, the hours were not the same. The hours were basically the amount of time that it was light out divided by 12. So during the summertime, the hours would be far longer than during the wintertime because there was more daylight.
I knew.
Which is-
Yeah, I heard
That's
about
fair.
that.
Definitely an interesting thing to discuss. And then
That's why like calendars in ancient like religious texts are so different. Like in the Bible and the Torah and the
Mhm.
Quran, they're all like years and months are all different because
yeah,
and days
Yeah, but
too.
the Mayans had it down, dude.
Yeah, the Mayans had some kind of like amazing magic, bro.
yeah, they were ahead of
Well,
their
they're
time.
just
I'm not gonna lie.
smart.
So the first, what do you guys think the first like timekeeping device was back in early ancient human time?
Clock.
Are you counting like
The pendulum clock.
the sundial? Oh, but
That's
that's
what
not
I
really
was-
timekeeping.
Oh.
Oh no, sundial.
It is.
Sundial.
Sundial.
Yeah, yeah,
Sundial's
yeah,
the
'cause
first
it's
thing
fixed
my
by-
I saw
mind went to.
Yeah,
Yeah, so sundial was originally used by ancient Egyptians. They used their giant obelisk towers to
yeah.
try and figure out like how much time was left in their day, essentially.
Huh.
And after that, a couple hundred years later, China came up with this idea of using water clocks, where water would drip out of
Oh,
one
yeah.
bucket
Oh.
at a consistent rate into a second bucket, and after
Yeah.
the first bucket got full, it would have been 1 hour, and then it would overflow into a second bucket. When that second bucket was full, 2 hours, so on and so forth, until
Clearly,
they had
they
all.
didn't account for evaporation.
They
Isn't
didn't, and they also didn't
Yeah.
account for the fact that sometimes it gets below freezing, and then your clock doesn't work.
yeah. Isn't
Ice
that
clock.
where Isn't that where the hourglass came from? Sort of like the sand falling.
Probably.
It's from
Yeah,
the
that
same type of
is
concept.
where the concept of it came from, was doing that. And a lot later, like it took a very long time for us to get more accurate than that. In the 1650s, the pendulum clock was invented.
Hey.
Mhm.
And that was used typically by like churches because they were the only people who could afford giant pendulum clocks for the town or whatever.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
at that point, the issue is that everybody's time was a little bit off. So like one town it might be 12:30, next town it might be 12:45, so on and so forth. So later in the 1800s, during the rise of railways, they had to introduce the idea of time zones because, if your train is leaving at 12 during like one time or one city, and it's like a different time in a different city, and they're not even going to be able to like calculate when the train is
Yeah,
going to get
that's gonna
there.
be difficult.
Like Miami
So
to New York. It would be
exactly.
difficult.
So they introduced the time zones, and
Wow.
that after the 1800s, basically quartz clocks were introduced just before the standard definition of a second. And basically, when you put a circuit through a piece of quartz, it oscillates at a very specific frequency of about 32,000 oscillations per second. And that is how like a
Okay.
lot of hand watches and stuff are kept, unless they're like
Oh,
unless you have to
Oh,
crank them
okay.
that
up.
Because
actually
But
makes sense.
yeah, bro. Like, there's no way you can like. Yeah, I was like astounded by watches and like alarm clock
Mhm.
technology because like. Okay, so it's based on like those oscillations you mentioned.
yes, but
Makes
Yeah.
sense.
just after, I don't know why they didn't just stick with quartz, but I guess quartz wasn't like specific or like precise enough, and then they moved to the cesium oscillations of the
Oh.
electron.
Another thing I want to bring up about time zones. Have you guys seen a time zone map, bro?
They're
Holy
crazy,
balls.
dude.
Okay, so
Yeah,
like
we have
apparently
we have
like
50.
like the way that like I don't know who made the official map, probably like the UN or something. But they like bro like they like put this together and then they just like almost it's almost like they just like bend time to convenience because the international date line is like so jagged, bro. It's like it
Oh yeah,
wraps around
dude.
island nations and stuff, and same with like other time zones. It just like will skip an entire peninsula because like that part's taken up by another time zone, and then it's just so weird to me.
There's a lot of time zones, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
Yeah.
it doesn't look very pretty. And
That
I
is
wish I could tell
Because
you
like
why.
weird.
if you look at like Asia, like Russia has so many like they have
yeah.
3 over that's like directly over China, but China only has 1 time zone for their entire country.
Yep.
That is certainly
Yeah,
weird.
they get the whole thing like yeah, I'm looking at this right now and you can even see in the US US and Canada there's like weird breaks and stuff.
I mean,
It should follow like a linear up and down, but they
like,
don't
Just
look
do
at my
that
Well,
for
you
boy.
also have to think that
convenience.
the map is like flat and the globe is curved, so like you would have those differences either way. Although those are more harsh.
Yeah,
for
but they're still
Yeah.
jagged and
Because I
like
mean, like,
zigzag.
It would
look
be
at
really.
Greenland, dude. The entirety of Greenland is
Oh.
like, I'm actually just gonna chill in multiple different time zones right now.
I
Yeah, I mean
I don't
like
Greenland is
know.
disgusting.
It would be super weird if like one state had 3 different time zones in it.
Yeah.
well, yeah, I mean like there's states on borders that have two different time zones like right down like the Midwest, so like the Dakotas and
Oh, that's
Nebraska and
true,
Kansas,
actually, huh?
Russia
they all
has
have
9.
two. Same with like Kentucky and
Is that
Tennessee
gonna
and
show?
stuff.
Mm-hmm.
No, not at
Parts of
all.
Florida are in 2 different time zones. Parts
Yeah,
of
like
Yeah.
Texas are too.
if you're in Key West or like up north, it's
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
I
Yeah.
mean, like it does make sense though because all this stuff is made like maps and time zones anyway are just made for human convenience. So it's not like they're gonna
Yeah.
follow
True,
the
that's
perfect
true.
suit. But like it's so whack. Like the freaking international dateline in the middle of the Pacific is like
That thing
so
is
busted.
crazy jagged,
It's
dude.
so busted.
They really gave up on that one, but it's
Yeah, they
alright.
sure did.
So
Okay.
to move forward, we were talking about minutes, seconds, and like the origin of that. And does anybody know why the days are 7 weeks instead of like 10 or 6 or something like
The
that.
weeks
There's
are
a
7
base
days?
7 counting system.
Well,
Weeks have 7 days, like Chase said.
yeah. So the reason is because back in ancient times, when they were observing the amount of time it took for like a moon to fully rotate around the Earth, like go from full moon to next full moon, they counted 28 days. I don't know what they were on, but it took 28 days. So they decided, let's divide 28. That's divisible by 7. So we're gonna have 4 weeks of 7 in a month. And it just so happened that 12 months basically made up a year, and so that's how you get the days, weeks,
But
months,
now,
and years
because it
out.
wasn't
Huh.
a perfect 28 days, now everything is messed up and lunar cycles
Exactly.
aren't consistent
Or
with
we could
months.
just make
Yeah.
our days longer.
Well, the issue with
Oh.
that,
I don't
Logan, is
think
then
that
if
would
we did
work.
that, that would really screw up because it's based on one full rotation of the Earth
Mhm.
about its axis.
So the sun would rise at like
Well, that's
2
too
p.m.
bad.
Because eventually
Well, no,
we
it's
get to a
not
point.
anymore because you talked about the atoms, so we're not even on that anymore.
Well, no, but
Yeah,
if
but
imagine if one
are,
day was
though,
changed to
kind of.
1.25 rotations. That would mean after like 4 full days,
Oh,
you
yeah,
would
yeah,
be
that'd be
off by
weird.
a whole rotation, and it would just
Mhm.
that's
be
why
weird.
they have leap years, right? Because a year is like 365 and a quarter days, right? So
Yeah,
it's like
it
yeah,
is
because like over
365.
4 years, there's like an extra day added, so that's why they
Mhm.
have the random
makes
leap year day.
sense.
Yeah.
And actually, there's things that also known as leap seconds, which don't occur for the same reason. Basically, our definition of a second is so accurate that the Earth actually falls out of line with it because of like minor gravitational pulling from like the moon and distant objects that leap seconds need to be added. And the most recent one was December 31st of 2016 when they added a leap second to account for Earth not being very good at keeping time. And
Okay.
since the
It
introduction
feels
of
like a
the
little
leap
bit
second,
unnecessary.
well, the thing is, if they didn't do it, so since 1972, we've had 27 leap seconds. Can you imagine if everything in our world was 27 seconds off? Like computers, clocks, GPS?
That's
It would really
Oh,
fair.
I'm
mess
not.
up.
Yeah.
It would
Huh.
very much mess a lot of stuff up.
Yeah.
And so they decided, yo, let's just
I
add
mean,
a
it's
couple
better to
seconds here and
keep it
there.
all in line than have it get out of
Yeah, I
whack.
guess so.
Yeah, but there's so many unpredictable factors, especially in like the space that we're in. It's like
Oh, yeah.
that like we could be doing stuff wrong as we know it like right now, but like what we know, this is the best that we've
Yeah.
got. Yeah, yeah.
So, like, I guess to step off the history of time, let's talk about the perception of time.
Mm.
So, when you're young, like, I mean, when you're young, you feel like time ticks on forever. Like, when I was like 3 or 4 years
I
old,
saw a
I'd be like,
graph.
That's true.
it would take, the year takes forever. And, like, as I've grown up, high school feels like it has zipped by,
Yeah, bro.
Mhm.
right?
Oh, I wish. Ooh. That means
Okay,
I can live
Logan.
long or short.
So, the reason, or at least that some scientists suspect that this is the case, is that 1 year of your life when you are 1 year old is 100% of your life. But as you get older, the percentage that 1 year takes up decreases more and more.
Oh.
That makes so much
Huh.
sense.
That actually makes
Yeah.
a lot of sense.
Yeah,
So
I hear
when-
my like old people say all the time, like, bro, it's like exponentially faster, man. And like that
That's
makes so much
weird.
sense.
That makes a lot of sense.
So when you're between the period of 18 or 17 to 18 years old, you're experiencing 1/18th of your life versus, 50% of your life when you're 2 years old.
That's whack, man.
Okay.
That's weird.
And so it's
I don't
like-
like that, bro. That means I'm gonna be speed running faster and faster the rest of my life.
Yeah,
dude.
and
Way to make me feel old, dude.
But
Speed running until
One-
tomorrow.
one thing that
What?
scientists said that can kind of help to counteract this effect is how much stuff you're able to like experience and remember in a year. So if there's a year where you don't experience a lot, it will like be perceived as faster in your memory. But if there's like a lot of stuff that happens in a given year, it will be perceived slower because
Holy
there was
crap.
more memories to
That makes
like
sense.
remember.
Yeah, so does
So
that like
true,
work with
bro.
like learning? Like if you learn more in a year, then it's gonna go by slower.
It
You're
will
gonna
it will
perceive it as going by slower.
Well, yeah, especially
That's
once you're
true.
remembering it.
Because I guess
Because you
if
might
you
not necessarily,
Yeah.
in the moment, you might not perceive it as slower, but after the fact, you will perceive
Well,
it as
yeah,
slower.
yeah. In the moment, you perceive all the time as the same, but
Yes, and this actually leads me to like a little phenomena. So, you know, I know you haven't been at an airport in a while, Chase, but when you're at an airport and there's a delay for your flight, right? You know, it feels so long when you're there. Like you are there for hours at a time and you have to focus on like every single minute because you're just bored out of your mind. You want to get to where you're going, right? And, you know, but after the fact, like once you're done, once you're at your destination and in your memory, that like 4 hours of layover isn't going to feel like anything, right? So that is
Yeah.
called long short memory, as in during the time that you were experiencing it, it felt long. After the fact, in your memory, it feels short. And then there's other stuff known
Huh.
as short long. So like during your trip or your
how
vacation,
creative.
you feel like time zips by, right? But then
yeah.
after the fact, that memory seems to hold more value than other memories, like the delay or the layover.
Dude, yeah, bro.
So I'm
Oh.
kind of curious then, like how the whole saying like time flies when you're having fun, like how does that play into things then?
I mean, that's like it's completely correct. As in,
Yeah.
you will experience like in the moment it will feel a lot shorter, but then in your memory it will make up a larger chunk of your like time there.
Yeah,
That
When
that's
you
just
makes
because
sense.
you're not like sitting there and consciously noting the time passing. It's
Yeah.
like it's just going by while you're doing other things,
and
so it doesn't
yeah,
feel
and so like
substantial.
Oh, and that's like the
it's like you won't remember what you ate for lunch 2 years ago, but you will remember your birthday party from 2 years ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
probably cereal. So.
Probably.
Okay.
Okay,
Kai, do
one
you think
last
we
thing.
should
So
do
is that
that?
like the
That
oh?
You can continue,
go
Logan.
ahead.
Wait,
Logan.
wait,
Alright, so
Logan.
that's
Why would you be eating cereal at lunch when you wake up at like 6 in the morning?
I wake up at 5 and because I don't. It's a staple of my diet.
Just all cereal all the time?
No, not all the time. I shouldn't say that, but like, there's a good chance I may have been cereal.
Okay. Interesting.
All right. Kai, do you think it's time for your little activity that we know nothing
Oh,
about?
yes, I'm very excited. So, I'm gonna mess with your mind in a perception of time type of sense.
Okay.
So, I'm just gonna like throw some facts out there where like you'll be like, no, no way. Like your mind when you perceive things like the dinosaurs, it's you kind of like group them together in their own time period, but they are like not connected at all. So, my first example is gonna
Okay.
be Oxford University existed for hundreds of years before the Aztec Empire was founded.
Wait.
How do we feel about
Dude,
that?
Yeah,
That's
I've
not-
heard that
that
one
Wait,
is-
before.
what?
It's still
Wait, okay,
weird,
so
though.
Hold
Oxford,
on.
yeah, Oxford University is like
Second.
OG old medieval England school. No,
Oxford
Yeah.
University.
yeah, and Aztec showed up in
Teaching
South
as early
America.
as 1096?
Bro just said so.
Yeah,
What?
Yeah, well, because
Yeah, bro.
Oxford was 1096.
that one
so-
actually doesn't surprise me so much, but it's like
I
that's
did
only
not
because I have
know
a
that.
basic understanding of history. Like if I didn't, that would
That
destroy
feels
me.
like a direct attack.
Yeah. Okay, so another
Oh.
fact.
What?
George
If you don't get
Washington.
to it, I'll say one.
Okay. George Washington died in 1799, and the first dinosaur fossil was discovered in 1824. So George Washington never even knew dinosaurs
Wow.
existed.
That's weird.
That's unfortunate for
Sad
him.
guy.
No,
Well, I
no
mean,
concept.
He
there's
wouldn't have believed it anyway.
Okay,
Bro,
th-
literally,
this
I'm speaking for George Washington.
I mean,
He
millions
does
of
not
people
believe in dinosaurs.
then wouldn't have known that dinosaurs even existed.
yes.
Oh yeah, I mean, and literally anyone before that point.
Yeah.
No.
There's probably people
That's
today
But I
that
mean-
Just
still
the
don't even
people
know.
that
like,
lived with the
even then,
dinosaurs.
like imagine you're just like this dude who's digging up, like he's just digging up earth, and you just stumble across this like ginormous bone, like no idea of what this thing belongs to, and you're like,
I wonder.
what
Yo,
is this, dude?
Yeah.
I'm
Well, I
curious-
mean, I bet like people had discovered dinosaur bones before that. They just didn't like,
They didn't know it
count
was
them as
dinosaur bones?
dinosaurs.
Yeah,
That's a
I'm
possibility.
kind of
'Cause,
wondering
I
if like.
feel-
Go ahead, Logan.
Oh, I was just going to expound, Chase, that I feel like it's impossible for all these people to go digging for years and never find a dinosaur bone. They probably were just like, not a dinosaur.
They're probably
know
like,
what
oh,
I'm
this is
saying?
one big bone, dude.
Yeah, that's
Kept
right.
on
They're
digging.
like,
I'm guessing how many, like, I'm or not guessing. I'm wondering, like, how many fossils that we would have like accidentally destroyed before that point. Like, how many times could we have just seen a
Yeah.
rock and just like not even noticed?
That reminds me of the thing that like when like British people were going over to Egypt, they would like grind up the mummies that they found and eat them because they thought they would like they were healthy and would like cure them
Wait.
of diseases.
What?
Yo,
Yeah.
that
Wait.
I literally didn't.
I'm serious. I'm serious.
What? Bro, there's no way. I'm not. I'm not
reminds me
gonna.
of the thing where like Greek people were like digging up bones, and I don't know like what time period this was, but they like chalked it up to like cyclopses when really it was like part of a skull of like this giant elephant.
I've heard of
But
that.
since it
before.
had like the
Yeah.
massive like eye hole and just like
Like the dent, yeah.
The eye hole.
yeah.
Massive eye hole.
What do you want to say? Eye socket like a loser? No.
No, I
chance.
like eye hole. I like it.
Eye hole.
Big fan of eye
hole's
hole.
better. All right,
Okay.
guy. Next one.
This one is, I think, is
Next Apple
gonna
product.
profound Chase as a Nintendo fan.
Wow.
So,
Wee
do we all
baby.
know who Jack the Ripper was?
Yes. Yes.
Like a notorious murderer, right?
Murder.
Oh,
in
yeah,
England,
yeah.
Loser.
This dude
Absolute
was-
loser.
Still on the loose when Nintendo was founded.
That doesn't actually surprise me.
That doesn't?
I'm not gonna lie to you, bro.
I know
thought he
Nintendo
was
is
like
really, really
200
old.
years ago, man. I didn't know he was
Well, when was
modern.
Nintendo made?
Well, Nintendo was founded in 1889.
1889.
Yeah.
Okay. Bro, they
Because
had Wii's in the
No,
first
Nintendo
World
didn't
War
actually
I.
start making games for a while. Nintendo started out as a toy company.
When?
They started as a what
Yo!
company?
Nintendo
Am I
started out as a toy
correct?
company. Toy company. Finn, shut up.
1889.
Finn, stop talking. No.
There is no way.
It started out
There
as a
is
toy.
no
No,
way.
it actually started out as a card company. It made card games, and then it went into a toy company, and then it went into games.
Into Wii. They made
Yeah.
the Wii.
Bro, 1889?
Yes.
Yeah.
You have to be kidding me. That's not okay. All right.
Is that
Okay,
sus?
next one.
All right, next one. So, Anne Frank and Martin Luther King Jr. were born in the same year.
I believe that.
You
That
believe
makes
that?
sense.
No,
Yeah.
I saw that one.
That doesn't seem
Well, I mean,
too
that makes sense
unlikely.
because like Anne Frank was alive during the Holocaust, and
Yeah,
and
She died
he was
early.
alive during like the Civil Rights Movement.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
that kind of makes
So
sense.
Yeah,
It's
that one
the main
checks
thing-
out.
All right. Okay.
Can
There
I
is
say one?
Yes, feel
after
free to say
this
one. Oh, you can say yours now if you'd like.
Okay. I read this, so it may not be true, but Cleopatra was closer to the founding of the first Pizza Hut than the building of the pyramids in Giza.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
Huh.
Okay.
Yeah, weren't the pyramids? Hold
Pyramids
on.
of Giza were old.
When they were built, woolly mammoths were still alive, so that just gives you a kind of
Whoa.
sense
I
of.
wish woolly mammoths
Yeah,
still
yeah.
existed.
2550 BC. Yeah, that makes sense.
Can we just take a second to appreciate woolly mammoths? These guys are cool.
Yeah, bro. You see a woolly mammoth like crashing through your newly built pyramid, like
It's
How
like
do you spell
hairy
what is that?
elephant.
Woolly
How can you
mammoth.
I
not
think
love
they're a few
hairy
thousand miles
elephants?
apart.
These
probably.
things are cool. I would love.
I want
And
Harry,
Chase
bro.
is a
You've seen
hairy elephant.
bro,
Ice
Ice Age is the best, dude.
Yeah, bro.
What's
with the
his
squirrel.
name?
Were
Manny?
squirrels even
Manny,
alive
dude?
during the Ice Age? Like,
They have
Or-
probably, I would imagine.
Some primitive
Or
squirrel, just like the
acorns.
one you see. Yeah, I'm sure
Primitive
acorns
squirrel.
were around, bro.
You're a
Oak
primitive
trees are
squirrel.
old, right? Right. How old?
There's
Oh,
scientists that
trees.
have spent $15 million on trying to create an elephant mammoth hybrid.
I don't blame them. I would want to see that.
The
I would
first
pay
How
good
they gonna-
money to see that.
The first calves
How
are
they-
expected in 5 years.
Bro,
oh, dude.
real life,
What if
like
we
how
use them
they
as
how are they even
battle
gonna go and
animals?
get How are they gonna go and get freaking DNA, man? From
Huh.
mammoths.
We have DNA from woolly mammoths.
You can
'cause
get
a
'em from
lot, like, some of
bones.
them got like frozen in the permafrost.
Oh,
right?
There's
Something like
you
that.
can all I think you can also get
from
some DNA
marrow,
from
yeah.
bones.
Yeah, from marrow.
Huh. Because
That's
this
why.
this article was last year and it says in 6 years the first calves are expected. So 5 years from right now.
Really?
Yeah.
5 years?
Well,
We're
if
gonna
they're on
see.
track.
Dude, can I get a pet woolly elephant, dude?
No.
It would be a tad.
How? That
It
is gonna
probably
be. I don't think
costs
that
a little
works that
bit.
way. It would
Yeah,
definitely
bro.
kill
They're gonna
you.
have it in. They're gonna have it in a zoo someplace, and I'm gonna see it. I'm gonna be the
That's
Yeah.
gonna
first
be
one there.
sad.
It would be
They
crazy,
should
dude. It would
free
be.
Oh
the
yeah, yeah,
woolly
yeah.
mammoths.
Finn, listen to this. The particular genes that are responsible for mammoth hair, insulating fat layers, and other cold climate adaptations are identified by comparing mammoth genomes extracted from animals recovered from the permafrost with those from the related Asian elephants.
Okay.
Okay.
Asian elephants. Okay. I would expect them they would do it with African elephants because those are like your more stereotypical looking elephants. But yeah.
But
Okay.
like, that's probably
I
not
thought
like
India
where.
had large
Mm-mm.
elephants. 'Cause
Skin
they
cells
No,
from
India
Asian
definitely
elephants
does.
are edited to carry mammoth genes.
That'd be crazy, dude. I just
Wow.
want to see a hairy elephant, dude.
God,
Yeah, I
that
bet
would be
you love to see a
cool.
hairy elephant.
Elephants in general are cool.
They are cool, bro.
You got the little the tusks, dude. Crazy.
Huh.
Yeah, bro. There'd be
Definitely
more of them if
crazy,
they didn't
man.
have them.
There'd be more elephants if they didn't have elephants.
Wait, what?
If they didn't have the tusks. Yes.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant there'd be more elephants if they didn't have
Yes, if
elephants.
there were 0 elephants, we'd have a booming elephant population all over the place, bro. If we just name like a dog an elephant, more elephants, no longer extinction.
I mean,
When time, bro.
you have a good point. Oh, you don't actually have a good point.
No, you don't have a good
You
point
have
at
a
all.
great point, Logan.
Okay, then.
All right.
We're all
one
on your
more
side
time.
here. We'll do one more, then we can get back to our
All right.
discussion.
I like this one. So, basically, just for some background, Abraham Lincoln was assassinated in 1865. Okay?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
First ever fax machine created in 1843. And on top of that, samurais were officially abolished in 1867. What this means.
No, they were not. They were not. I'm still a samurai today.
Oh, I'm sorry, Finn. I forgot.
Alright, bro.
Finn,
I
Finn
think
resurrected.
we Finn, bro, I don't like this
So,
attitude.
okay, so to continue.
Let me
that-
show you
that
my
means
katana.
Oh god.
I have a.
Alright, you keep talking. I'm gonna go find my
There-
katana. I'll be right back.
there's a 22-year period in which a samurai could have sent a fax to Abraham Lincoln.
That is weird. That is just like a
Did
weird
they
thought.
have a Pacific fax?
What do you wait, like a line running from the Pacific?
Yeah.
I would assume so. I mean,
Bro, I don't. Let's be honest. I don't understand.
because
fax machines.
the fax machine was created.
What are
20
fax machines?
Fax machine
I'm
was
a fax
created
machine.
23
Say that
years
again.
before then.
Fax machines. I mean,
Bro, that's
I know what
facts.
these are, but I don't know what they are.
They use them in the office, Chase.
Yeah, but that is not the faxes they had in 18 whatever.
Fax machines.
Yeah, I know, bro. But I did a paper on the communication last year as like my final history thing, and like I knew that they like had Morse code and stuff like, in your telegraph and your like vibration wire phone, but I had no idea fax machines were a thing, bro.
Oh wow. Okay. The original document is scanned with a fax machine, which processes the contents, text or images, as a single fixed graphic image, converting it to a bitmap, and then transmitting it through the telephone system in the form of audio frequency tones. The receiving fax machine interprets the tones and reconstructs the image, printing a paper copy.
Yeah, they in the old times they
Weird.
probably like sent it through a vibration onto a pen and then like etched it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's okay. I
Like,
did read about that, but they don't like officially call it like a fax machine because that's a modernized term. But yeah,
Yes.
it's-
But
it's
it
yeah.
was a fax machine.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Wow. Epic.
Yes.
I wish I had
Your
one of those
your
now.
katana was beautiful, Finn.
Did you show
Oh,
it?
thank you.
I wasn't
Yeah, I
paying
did.
attention.
Heck it.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's
you're
a
looking at your
katana.
phone, Chase.
Yeah, baby.
That's one for sure. Still can
Kana.
beat you karate fight.
No shot. I'm not getting into this argument with you right now. We're on the podcast, Logan. Just so the viewers know, I am a brown belt and Logan is a purple belt. So there would be no context.
Kempo karate, okay? You don't want to mess with me.
Yeah, we were in the same org. So all right, next thing, please.
Next, we're moving back right to the main subject.
Yes.
Or we want
Yeah,
more
yeah.
time?
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
so
yes.
We're moving
We have 10
back in
minutes.
time.
oh, so cool, Logan.
You're welcome.
So we were last talking about short long and long short time, right?
Yes.
But in the recent development, basically ever since the creation of the television, humans have started to experience short time, where in the moment it feels short, and after the event it feels short. So an example of this
So it's
is
just like
when you're
time.
watching, and it's really not a healthy thing because you will sit there and watch TV for 4 hours and you won't even realize it's been 4 hours, and then you go about your day, and then when you're remembering this TV watching session, it will not have felt like an essential memory that took up 4 hours of time.
Oh, okay. So it just means.
So it almost makes it like your life is
Same thing
short.
with like books though.
What?
Because like, wouldn't that be the same thing with like reading like books? Like if I'm reading like a good fiction book, I don't remember
Yeah.
the time while I'm reading it, and then after I'm done, like I can recall like memorable events of the book, but I'm not gonna remember everything.
Exactly.
so-
Yeah, books are example of that, but it really
Okay.
started to take off during the television era, and then like now with like social medias where you can just scroll and just
podcasts.
I
endlessly
guess
for
that
hours.
just kind of shows that like if that happens, then that portion of time wasn't like important to your life. Then like,
Exactly, and
huh.
the sad thing is that that seems to be making up more and more of people's life. Is more and
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
time seems to be under that short category.
Huh.
Although it did mention that this short doesn't apply if you have like a deeper connection to the subject. So like an example would be a sports team that you really like. When you sit down and watch the game on television, it
Mhm.
will feel fast, but then in your memory it will not feel short. It will be a long,
Yeah.
short, long memory. Or like if
Wouldn't
you,
that apply to like a
that'll be
video
like an
game if you're
event.
playing
yes,
it too?
if it's
Yeah.
yes, video games that
'Cause, like
you've
watching
made friends
TV
through.
isn't an event.
Yes, so that's the thing. If it's something that you like are more
Actively engaging
yes.
with. Yeah.
hmm So like
So
sports.
like if you're watching a game and you're like passionately like let's say you're like you're yelling about it or like you're actively
Yes.
like
Yeah, like
standing up
tag
when your
team.
team scores or whatever. Like that's gonna be
Yeah.
have more of an impact than like just sitting on your couch and watching Squid Game for 2 hours
Exactly.
or whatever. Yeah.
Yes. And so
okay,
like
Squid Game was an event for me because I watched it so late, but we'll take it personally.
but I mean even
Okay.
now when I try to like remember Squid Game, like I remember the plot of it, but it still feels like it didn't take that long to watch despite the fact that it was like well over 10 hours of watch time.
Mhm.
Fair enough.
And it
Yeah.
still fits that short description. But then like when I think about like Super Bowls or whatever where I'm made like an event out of it.
Logan
That's
has his
different.
hand raised.
Yes, Logan.
Is there such thing as a long memory?
No. No such long memory has been conceded upon.
I feel
And-
like
and it
that's
makes sense-
impossible though.
Well, so here's the thing, Chase. The only way that you can experience time and make it feel long in the moment is if you're actively recalling time. So if you're watching a clock tick, then it's going to take a really long, like you're going to be experiencing it long, but you're not going to be engaging in activity that is
So you're
worth
not
a
gonna
memory.
remember
Okay,
it,
but-
and you're gonna
Exactly.
remember it as a shorter memory.
True,
than
but
it was.
let's take
Yeah.
for example you're watching a clock tick, right? And I don't. What the? Maybe you're. maybe you're really like depressed or something, or you're just thinking like about a tragic event that happened, and you're like running through all this stuff in your brain while you're just watching the clock tick. Like that, you're gonna have thought of a bunch of stuff during that time, and it's gonna have probably been a pretty impactful like time of
So
reflection.
like you're saying, but that's
Oh,
so the reason that's different is because you can't actively look at the clock and actively reflect on a memory.
You
have
certainly
to do one or
can.
the. No, you.
My
that's the
eyes can
point.
look at a
wait,
clock
wait,
and see the
No, but you-
time.
But that's
I
not.
have an idea.
That's
I have
not
an
the
idea. I have
point.
an idea.
You just because you're looking at it doesn't mean anything. You have to be like actively engaged in that clock for this to like apply.
I have an idea.
I think you
Yes,
can be
Logan?
engaged. in
What if you're
both.
like, say we were at the airport scene, you know, you got laid over or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta wait.
Okay.
So you don't have like no book, no phone, and you
Okay.
just gotta think.
Okay.
So the time spent is boring because it's forced. You have to wait there.
Mhm.
But you could still think about like whatever Chase said, like if a meaningful event, or you're like philosophizing.
Okay.
Philosophizing.
Long.
So what you're saying is that
Bro.
just because you're sitting there thinking. So now here's the issue. If you're forced into some situation like that, even if you do start thinking, you will get bored. You're not gonna want to
Not
sit there and
necessarily.
think for the whole.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. You're
It's not a
bored, so it's
universal
gonna take
thing.
a lot of time in the moment. Well, yeah, obviously you can't like calculate how long this memory is and how long it takes, but like it's long in the moment because you have to do it. But you can still like, you know.
So what I'm getting at here is that if it is long in the moment, your brain is like scientifically bored. You would rather be doing something else. If you are having fun engaging in active memory recalling, thinking, philosophizing or whatever,
Yeah.
then it
Philosophizing.
doesn't count as a
Okay,
long.
but
Dang it.
just because you're bored
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean that it's an event, a forgetful event.
Can you give me an example of where you would be bored and it's also not forgetful?
I think,
'Cause I
well,
can't.
same idea of like
I can't
Yeah,
either.
yeah.
reflecting on a tragic event, like that. You're gonna,
It's
you're
not.
proud. Hear me out here.
Okay, I'm listening.
In that moment, at some point, I'm going to get bored of reflecting upon this because that's not something I necessarily want to be doing. That's not a positive thing that makes me happy. So I'm going
Okay.
to get bored of doing this negative thing, but so it can still feel really long, but at the same time it still is going to be very impactful in your life.
Well, while you are bored,
That's valid.
What do you mean? Like, the thing is, while you're bored, it doesn't matter. Like, if you're actively thinking, sure, but like, as soon as you become bored, that fast time stops and it comes long.
I know, that's
Well,
what
here-
I'm
here.
saying. It'll
I
be
have-
a long
I have
time.
something- I have something to sort of like respectfully counter Chase. So like
Okay.
let's say I have X traumatic experience that happened in my life, right? Something that comes into my mind that I think about a lot. Like let's say I sit down, I'm having a like I'm waiting for I'm going to Hoo Ha or something, and I'm waiting for my mom to come downstairs. I'm gonna be sitting on the couch for 10 minutes, like waiting for her or whatever. Like I'll sit there bored and I'll think about probably this traumatic event if it comes to my mind. But even if that reflection, even if you've like while you're reflecting, you've made some kind of substantial mental progress in like coping with it, you're not like in the long run, you're not gonna remember the reflection so much as you're gonna remember the event and how over time it has changed.
I disagree.
So
You're talking about a time that could be years after this event has happened, and you're just like randomly thinking back to it while you're waiting. I'm saying,
am.
what if something just happened, like, and immediately after you're depressed, you're thinking about it, and when you think back to this event, it comes to mind like how like miserable you were after it. So
Okay,
like
like,
that would
after the
be
fact-
impactful.
That's not.
That you would
it doesn't-
remember.
But it's not going to be a long then. It would be short long. It would
No.
be short as you think
No, it
about
would still
and
be
then-
long in the
How?
moment because it's still it's something you wouldn't want to experience.
Just because you
Like-
don't want to experience it doesn't mean that it doesn't feel like it goes by fast. Traumatic events often happen extremely quickly.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the coping with it though, or the thinking of it.
Okay, how
That
about
usually can feel like
it
if
takes
someone's
forever.
experienced a long event memory, then you won, and if you haven't, then you also won.
Well, the thing is, if there was the thing is,
Personal
like,
experience
if there was such
time.
thing, if there was a long like scientific explanation, wouldn't it already exist? Don't you think scientists would have already come up with it?
Well, maybe they
what?
just never experienced it. So
Well, that's
I don't know.
so like I don't have a definitive answer on this because I feel like I'm
just looking
more
at
in-
it from a logical perspective.
Well, yeah. So I mean, so am I. So like, I'm not gonna mention it specifically, but I have had a traumatic event happen to me in the past, and it occupies thoughts often. and I've had definite periods of recollection recently about the thing. So like within the last couple weeks or months that I can recollect like with the snap of my fingers. But when I'm thinking about the thing in the long run, the recollection is not going to be any more impactful than the actual event. So for at least for the specific experience I have and from the amount of time it's been since that experience, then like that thing is going to be more impactful than any recollection I have thus far, no matter how close it is to real time. But like it could be totally different. Like if it's more recent or if you dealt with it differently. So I see where Chase is coming from, but personally, it's not, like I don't align with that so much.
I don't
Well,
know.
because the definite, like, when scientists refer to long, short, they mean long as in you were bored during the experience. It's just because you didn't want to experience it itself, like remembering a traumatic memory, doesn't mean that it was necessarily boredom. That's what I'm trying to explain.
So
that-
you
What
mean
if the
like
memory is long just because it's contiguous, or like just because
Okay, bored,
the
feeling
event-
wary because one is unoccupied or lacks interest in one's current activity.
Exactly.
If I was
Yeah.
just reminiscing over something that tragically happened 5 minutes ago, and
Mhm.
it's occupying every space of my mind, right?
Mhm.
I am going to be bored of that because I'm not going to be taking interest in the fact that like all these negative thoughts.
Well, no, you're not gonna. You're gonna be actively there. You're gonna be bored of it, and then as soon as you're bored of it, you're gonna not think of it anymore. While you're actively thinking of it, you're not bored. You're just thinking of it.
that's
And
where
listen,
that's where I think I differ from Kai
I
because
think we are all on different standpoints here, and we are
And
not
also,
getting
Logan,
anywhere, and we are in
even
fact
like
at 46
long,
minutes, so
even long activities, like so when I go to like when I've been to summer camp, and I remember that's a week, an entire week of memory and experience. It is an extremely long period of time. It still is remembered short. Like it's remembered,
true.
not like it doesn't matter how long the event took necessarily.
that's revelation for me.
I
Why?
read that book.
Because I can name an event that happened that went on for a long time
Mm-hmm.
that I still remember as a long memory.
Okay.
Yeah, so I won.
But in the moment,
But
was
in
it
the
short?
moment,
Did it
in the
pass
moment,
quickly?
it's a short memory. In
So
the
that would
moment,
be
so
short
I
long.
think it changes over time. Like I think
Well,
I
perception
don't think
can
any of us
alter.
are going to get to a definite conclusion here.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, there's
You know
no
what?
way because we're using words differently. Like,
Yeah, you know, I feel like something that we do on this podcast a lot is wrap up with sort of a conclusion. But I'm glad that we're not doing that this time because then it gives more reason to think, at
It
least for
also
us and
can
for the viewers.
leave it up to the viewer to kind of decide
when someone leaves this
their
video,
opinion here.
it's going
Yeah,
to be a
bro,
short
do you
memory.
have any long memories? And if you do, put them in the comment section down below.
No, delete
All
it.
right, don't. Or if you don't have any
I will
long
be
memories,
reading all the comments.
okay, all right. Logan will be
Logan will be
all
there
the
to read
comments.
your comments.
I now need
Yeah,
access to the
so-
YouTube account.
If you post a long memory, please screenshot it because it will be taken down. So it's
Goodbye.
9:20
Goodbye.
p.m. and we are
Among Us
obliged to
time.
attend an Among Us lobby. So we are going to hit
Go
the
Among Us now.
hit the leave button here. So I think to wrap up, we'd like to once again say thank you all for coming to the podcast. Thank you, all of you visual viewers, for looking at our beautiful faces. Thank you, all the audio listeners, for listening to our beautiful voices. Peace.
Farewell. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.